Today on Marek's Gear, Sony Xperia X1 smartphone, and can you film a car review using it, and what on earth is this? Let's find out. Before we get into tools, a few words about what these tools are supposed to help us achieve. Before my main channel, Marek Drives, gained some structure, YouTube was just my repository, or hosting if you like, for short footage shot on a phone. I filmed something during a car launch event, or maybe my attempts on getting in and out of a Lotus Elise. I did a walk around of a motorcycle I was testing at the moment. Short and simple, because back in the day, nobody would watch long videos on a computer, not to mention a mobile phone. However, during that time, I started seeing videos of British motoring journalists like Auto Express, and based on their production, I started to gradually develop my own format. I'm not saying my format is the best. Judging by stats, there are definitely creators out there who are better, who post more, who are closer to the viewer, who have better ideas, access to better topics, or are simply better at selling certain ideas. Better, different, it doesn't matter. If you want to be serious about YouTube, you have to make some assumptions, like, for example, the topic, the audience, and ultimately the revenue you're gonna get from it. There's nothing stopping you from making videos on your phone, or you can start with your phone and gradually expand your gear collection and, advance into something more complicated, more complex. Let's talk phone. This is my third or fourth Xperia. I'm buying a Sony flagship every 2-3 years. I moved to Sony from HTC after I drowned two of them. One on a kayak and another one in my motorcycle jacket while having to ride in heavy rain. Sony was one of the few brands at the time that offered waterproof phones, and I like reading in the tub or maybe in the pool. Xperia 1 is dust and water resistant. It has an IP65/68 rating. The phone has a 6.5-inch 21:9 ratio screen, so it's a bit big using it with one hand. Hence, Sony has incorporated an additional menu which pops out when you touch the edge of the screen. That's all good and well, but the slim body is so slippery. The first thing I did after getting the phone was to put it in a protective case. Without it, the phone can slide off a table when someone calls and it starts vibrating. The battery lasts me at least a whole working day or entire weekend when not much is happening. The advantage of the large screen is that you can easily work with two apps in split screen mode, or in some apps like YouTube, you can enlarge the video to watch in panoramic mode, kind of just zoom in. However, that's not always a good idea because most videos are shot in 16:9 aspect ratio, and zooming into 21:9 means cutting out something of the frame, like for example, part of your head. This is something you may want to take into consideration when filming, but that's for a different episode. There are 3 lenses in the back. All are 12 megapixel with 16 to 52 mm focal length, and aperture ranging from f1.6 to f2.4. There is also an 8 megapixel camera in the front. If you shoot a lot of live videos, you're probably interested in the front camera, but if you want to try something more serious, you're more interested in what's happening in the back. In the native Android camera app, you get 2x optical zoom and an automatic mode. There is minimal control of the focus. If you have someone behind the camera, they can try and force focus by tapping their finger on the screen, and then the whole camera shakes. And that's not the most advanced solution anyway, especially if you're shooting something up close and you want to separate the foreground from the background. Which is where the Cinema Pro app comes in. This is where things start getting interesting because you can change lenses, play with the settings for white balance, aperture, shutter speed, frame rate. You can pull focus. You can even set 2 focus points and set time which it takes to pull focus from one to another. All this is great, but you still need to set everything by tapping your finger on the screen, perhaps in daylight, which makes seeing anything a bit more difficult, so you may want to get something to cover the screen. Meanwhile, there is no focus peaking, for example. That's those blue markings on the screen which show you where the camera is focusing right now. Focus peaking is not 100% foolproof, but it does make work easier. So if you want to shoot some details, it would help to mount the camera on a tripod to have both hands free to fiddle around with the settings before shooting the scene. How do you set focus on yourself when you don't have anybody to help you? Well, you can use a microphone like I did here, or you can use a second tripod or a monopod, place it in the place where you would want to stand and focus on that. Record some test footage to make sure that everything is in the shot, including the head, for example, and then record the real thing. But what about sound? Because a car review is not just about beauty shots, but also you need to say something to the camera, right? You want to be like Clarkson, or at least like me. Well, you don't have to be like me. There are several ways to go about it. In a relatively quiet environment, you can use the phone's built-in mic, or you can use like an on-camera directional mic like this Rode Video Micro it's called. It comes with a windscreen, or a dead cat as it's called, and it's something you must have when recording outside. On the day I was recording, there wasn't any wind or very little wind, so I used compressed air to let you hear what it's like without the cat, dead cat, and with the dead cat. Dead cat, not dad cat. Rode also has something which is called VideoMic Me, which you can attach directly to the phone, but since you're already using a tripod, I'd suggest getting something bigger like maybe this Rode Video Micro, because it will come in handy, and attaching it to the clamp like a Manfrotto Pixie here. Trust me, it will all come in handy one day, like all the gear you buy. If you're a bit further from the camera, you can use a lavalier mic like the Rode SmartLav Plus with an extension cable, of course, to get a bit further. And if you want to move about a bit more, you can use Rode Wireless Go. Yes, I'm talking all about Rode, but their products never let me down, and they are usually easily available. It's not the cheapest option, but it's reasonably priced for what it offers. You can use Rode wireless transmitter, like this one here, without even an external mic. You just clip it to your clothes and, you can use it like that. Or you can use a lavalier mic with it to make it a bit less visible. What's next? If you want more movement than just panning on your tripod, you will need to introduce other tools like maybe a slider and probably a larger tripod, or a gimbal, or you'll have to learn this kind of ninja walk. And I suggest the latter solution, as you may need to attach a bit more stuff to your camera, like the lights, filters, mics, and it's all going to be too heavy to balance on a gimbal. Instead, you may want to get a cage or a dedicated grip, or preferably both. For this video, I built this ridiculous rig with whatever I found around the house. The easiest to find are accessories dedicated for the iPhone, but there are also some more universal clip-on solutions for most smartphones. You just have to check if it fits yours because the cameras are mounted in different places. And this is before we actually start driving. I recorded the drive-by shots using a tripod and handheld, so you can see the difference right now, all in full auto, HD and 4K. In order to attach the camera to the car, you'll need some sort of a suction mount. I used one of the Delkin Fat Gecko legs and a Manfrotto Pixie. Adjusting focus in the car should be theoretically easier because all you need to do is focus on the headrest. But as the phone is close to the windscreen, your access and visibility can be limited. I wasn't brave or stupid enough to attach the camera to the body of the car to record some details while driving, and I strongly advise you do not attempt this either. This is what the GoPros are for. And what about sound? I had to record the following test again, hence a different t-shirt, because it turned out I was missing an adapter. In order to use earphones with a microphone on a smartphone, you will need a TRRS plug with 3 stripes. Meanwhile, my microphones have TRS plugs with 2 stripes, and I have an adapter to go from TRRS to TRS, but not the other way around. So everything except for the phone's built-in mic was recorded using various microphones, recorded onto the Zoom H1 and then synced during editing. It's not exactly what you would get feeding the microphone directly into the phone, but you can hear the difference in quality depending on how far the mic is from my mouth. See, the closer, the better. This is what the Xperia built-in microphone sounds like. That's the more powerful version of the VW T-Cross. Under the bonnet, instead of a 1-liter 115 horsepower engine, is a 1.5 150 TSI motor. Now that's more like it. This is what it sounds like on the Rode Video Micro. That's the more powerful version of the VW T-Cross. Under the bonnet, instead of a 1-liter 115 horsepower, is a 1.5 150 horsepower TSI motor. Now that's more like it. This is what it sounds like on the Rode Wireless Go. That's the more powerful version of the VW T-Cross. Under the bonnet, instead of a 1-liter 115 horsepower engine, is a 1.5 150 horsepower TSI motor. Now that's more like it. This is what it sounds like on the Rode SmartLav Plus, recording onto the Zoom H1, like the rest of them, unfortunately. That's the more powerful version of the VW T-Cross. Under the bonnet, instead of a 1-liter 115 horsepower engine, is a 1.5 150 horsepower TSI motor. Now that's more like it. What did we learn here? 1. In loud environment, you want to have at least a directional shotgun microphone. 2. Rode Wireless Go is really good for the price. And 3. I like my voice more on the SmartLav Plus, but it also picks up too much noise from the car. The main takeaway is that you want the microphone as close to your mouth as possible. So, did I kill any hope for you becoming a YouTube celebrity, recording car reviews with just a smartphone? Don't let anybody tell you it can't be done. Many YouTubers started with a mobile phone because the best camera is the one you always have on you. I sometimes use cutaways shot on my smartphone, because there are situations where there is something to show urgently and I don't have my main camera with me. It is possible to shoot an entire car review on a smartphone, but don't expect quality like you see in those marketing films. You may need a few accessories as shown here or in MKBHD's video, link in the description below. To sum up, if you really want to, you can shoot a lot on a smartphone, and in case of short formats with little or no editing, this could work. However, as you progress, you'll probably notice there are better tools to achieve certain goals, and maybe this is when you'll start thinking about at least a GoPro or some compact camera. If you want to give filming on a smartphone a shot, I'm linking to gear I mentioned here in the video description. These links are affiliated. If you use them, I will get a small commission at no extra cost to you. Subscribe to Marek's Gear. Press the bell icon to get notified about new videos. Do you film with your phone? Share your productions in the comment section below. Do you have any hacks or tricks? Share them with other viewers and with me. I always want to learn something new. If you have questions regarding my gear or you want to see how I use it to film my car reviews on a shoestring budget, drop me a line. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.